Hello. I'm getting ready to brew my first batch here in Tucson. I wasn't able to bring my equipment from Colorado, so I'm pretty much starting over. I've got limited space here, and of course it's a desert, so I'm going to try to conserve water. So I've gotten an electric brew. It's a Brewer's Edge mash and boil, and I put together a recirculating wort cooler. So all this is a stainless mash tun that fits inside a stainless boil pot. It's got a 1600 watt heater and a temperature control. So I'm going to start my brew and we'll see how it works. Okay, I've mashed in. I'm making a 2.5 gallon batch of amber today. So I added the strike water, brought it up to temperature, which took about 20 minutes. Then I mashed in the grain, and when I did, I realized I didn't have enough water. I put in what the recipe called for, but this pot has probably a half a gallon of dead space, so I had to add another 2 quarts of water, which took the temperature down. So now I'm waiting for it to heat up to 150 degrees, and then I'll shut the heater off. Okay, we've been mashing for an hour. I had quite a bit of trouble getting the temperature correct, so I'm not sure how this batch is going to turn out. Next time I'll start with at least 4 quarts more of strike water than it calls for. But for now we're going to try to sparge. Okay, the way this works, hopefully, is that you lift up the mash tun and let it sit on top of the boil pot. Okay, that worked. Now we just start adding, I guess it called for 7.3 gallons of sparge water. This thing gets pretty tall, so I'm standing on a step ladder to do this. Oops, almost fell off. Okay, this will continue until I've used all the water. The boil is done now. That was simple enough. Just turn the brew pot up to its maximum temperature and let it boil. So now we're ready to chill it and put it in the fermenter. So this is where the recycling wort chiller comes in, which is fancy sounding, but all it is a submersible aquarium pump and a piece of hose going into my plate chiller. I brought this from Colorado. Of course, you could do the same thing with whatever chiller you've got, I suppose. So I'm going to try this out and we'll see how it goes. So now we're draining the wort from the boil pot through the chiller and into the fermenter. So far, the recycling chiller seems to be working just fine. We calculated a while back that it would take 36 pounds of ice to do a 5 gallon batch. This is a 2.5 gallon batch, so I ran to the store and bought 20 pounds of ice. And as soon as this is done, I'll take the temperature and see how we came out. The only way you can regulate the temperature is to regulate the flow from the boil pot into the fermenter. The wort's in the chiller now. It is at 64 degrees, so the recycling chiller worked great. In fact, overshot a little bit. This is a 3-gallon carboy I'm using as a fermenter. So I'm going to make smaller batches here in Tucson. They're much easier to handle, and hopefully I don't drink that much. So I'm going to put this in the fermentation chamber, which is a freezer with an external heat control, and then hydrate some yeast and pitch it. The final piece of equipment I got new for Tucson is this little freezer. I'm going to use that to control the temperature for fermentation. This room probably varies by 20 degrees between night and day, so I don't think that'll cut it. So with this, I can hold a constant temperature. I've got an Inkbird temperature controller, external controller. I'm going to do this batch at 66 degrees. For my next batch, the main thing that really didn't work well was with that new Brewer's Edge system. It has a lot of dead space, so I didn't have enough water in the mash, and then the sparge instructions basically said lift the mash basket and pour some water through it. Well, that really didn't work. So next time I'm going to try to do a batch sparge better. I think what I'll do is drain off the original wort, add the sparge water, and perhaps recycle that a couple times, and we'll see how it works out.